They told you to believe, but no one told you how to believe when the lights go out, when the world goes quiet, when your prayers sound like echoes in a cave and heaven feels sealed. You sat in silence with trembling hands, asking questions only God could answer. But what if I told you your silence was sacred? That heaven wasn't ignoring you, it was building something inside you that can't be taught in daylight. Supernatural faith is not born in comfort, it is forged in the furnace. There comes a moment in every life when natural faith breaks. When the doctor's report doesn't change, when the breakthrough doesn't come, when every door is locked and you have nothing left but breathe, and even that feels like a burden. This is where it begins. Not in the miracle, but in the mystery. Not when the light appears, but when your soul decides to walk blind. That's where supernatural faith is born. You thought faith was about answers, but now you're learning it's about trust. Deep, trembling, gut-wrenching trust. The kind of trust that says, even if I don't see it, I'll still believe. The kind that worships through tears. The kind that lifts hands even when your heart is in pieces. That's not weak faith. That's wild faith. Untamed, unshaken, unbreakable. Because the truth is, real faith doesn't look like perfection. It looks like Jacob limping. It looks like Job scraping wounds while still refusing to curse God. It looks like a widow putting her last 2 coins in the temple treasury. It looks like Jesus in Gethsemane sweating blood, whispering, "Not my will." You think faith is loud? Sometimes faith is a whisper. Sometimes it's a sigh. Sometimes it's just not quitting. The supernatural isn't always spectacular. Sometimes it's quiet, obedience. Sometimes it's staying when you could have walked away. Sometimes it's forgiving when you had every right not to. That is supernatural. That is power. That is faith. Do you want to develop supernatural faith? Then be ready to walk through unnatural storms. Be ready to wait longer than you planned. Be ready to be misunderstood, misjudged, and mislabeled. But be ready because God will meet you there in the dark, in the unknown, in the space between your last amen and your next miracle. You are not forgotten. You are not abandoned. You are being trained. Heaven has its eyes on you. The angels are not idle. The warfare is not without reward. You think it's punishment, it's preparation. You think it's delay, it's divine timing. What you think is the end is the beginning of something eternal. You've prayed, God, increase my faith. But the answer doesn't always come in peace. Sometimes it comes in fire. Because gold is purified in heat, and so is your trust. The version of you that God is building cannot live on natural sight. You must be able to stand with eyes closed and still walk straight. There's a generation rising that doesn't want pretty faith. They want proven faith. Not the kind that just shouts in church, but the kind that walks through hell and doesn't lose its praise. The kind that carries power in its silence, authority in its scars, glory in its surrender. And I see you sitting in your room, eyes wet, voice trembling, heart wearied. I see heaven leaning in. I see God not disappointed in your struggle, but proud of your fight. You're still here. You're still believing. You're still choosing faith, even when feelings fail. That's supernatural. That's holy. That's the kind of faith hell can't handle. This is not the end. This is not your breakdown. It's your breakthrough. The shaking is not to destroy you. It's to strip you. To remove every crutch, every idol, every false hope, until only one thing remains: trust. The kind of trust that says, though he slay me, yet will I trust him. That is supernatural faith. So rise, wipe your tears. Not because the battle is over, but because you've remembered who's fighting for you. You've remembered who you are. You are not weak. You are not lost. You are not a mistake. You are chosen. And the fire that surrounds you will not burn you. It will reveal you. You've cried long enough. You've doubted long enough. Now it's time to walk forward with no answers, no guarantees, just trust. The kind that heaven honors. The kind that opens impossible doors. The kind that makes demons tremble. The kind that changes history. Because faith isn't what you feel. It's what you choose. And right now, heaven is waiting for your choice. There's a war over your faith. Not your comfort, not your finances, your faith. Because hell knows if you ever start believing for real, nothing will be able to stop you. Not the trauma, not the timeline, not even the lies you've believed about yourself. If you ever tap into who you really are in God, the chains will fall off and the world will shift. But that kind of faith doesn't come cheap. You'll have to unlearn the easy versions of belief you were taught. The ones that said, if you pray, it'll happen. If you fast, it'll come quickly. If you do everything right, nothing will go wrong. That's not faith. That's formula. And God doesn't operate in formulas. He operates in faith. The kind that walks without a map. The kind that trusts without a sign. The kind that waits without complaining. Supernatural faith is not about getting what you want. It's about becoming who you were created to be, no matter what it costs. It's about walking through closed doors and thanking God in advance. It's about praising Him with no evidence. Lifting your hands in the middle of the storm, not just at the end of it. You'll have to kill the version of you that needs constant proof. You'll have to bury the voice inside that says, I'll believe it when I see it. Because supernatural faith flips the script. It says, I'll see it because I believe it. That kind of faith bends reality. That kind of faith opens prison doors. That kind of faith pulls the supernatural into the natural. And don't be surprised when the enemy comes harder after you. Not because you're weak, but because you're dangerous. Every attack is confirmation of your calling. Every setback is a setup. Every tear is watering the ground for something holy to grow. You asked God to use you, then He's going to stretch you. You asked Him to trust you with purpose, then He'll trust you with pain. You asked Him for power, then He'll teach you persistence. Because miracles don't happen in comfort zones. They happen in the uncomfortable, the unfamiliar, the unseen. Supernatural faith is developed, not delivered. God doesn't hand it to you. He builds it in you through delays, through disappointments, through the nights you cried yourself to sleep, wondering if He even heard you. But you didn't know those nights were holy ground. Tears were ink. Your pain was the pen. And heaven was writing your testimony in invisible letters. There is a power inside you that hasn't been activated yet. It's not triggered by excitement. It's triggered by surrender. That moment when you throw your hands up, not in defeat, but in divine release. When you stop asking why and start declaring who is with you, who is for you, who lives in you. He never asked you to understand. He asked you to trust. It's not about feelings. Your feelings will betray you. It's not about facts. Facts can change. It's about truth, and truth never moves. Truth says, I am with you even when you walk through the fire. Truth says, no weapon formed against you will prosper. Truth says, my grace is sufficient. But here's the part no one told you. Faith feels like falling until you realize you're flying. It feels like losing until you realize He's winning in ways you can't see. It feels like breaking until you realize you're becoming. So if everything is falling apart, maybe, just maybe, it's falling into place. Keep walking. Don't stop at the valley. Don't set up camp in your pain. Don't memorize the sound of your chains. Walk. Limp if you must, crawl if you have to, but walk. Because on the other side of obedience is overflow. On the other side of resistance is revelation. And on the other side of your struggle is supernatural strength. You weren't built to quit. You weren't built to blend in. You were created to defy logic, to silence doubt, to terrify hell with your yes. And your yes is more powerful than your enemy's no. Every time you choose to believe, even when it hurts you, push darkness back. Heaven is watching. The cloud of witnesses is cheering. Your future is waiting. And God is not pacing the floor wondering if you'll make it. He already saw the end from the beginning and you win. So rise again. Not because everything makes sense, but because something in your spirit knows this story isn't over. Not even close. You've been walking through days that feel like years, prayers that feel like echoes, promises that feel like riddles. And still, you stayed. You didn't run. You didn't curse. You didn't let go. You didn't know it, but heaven took notice. Because supernatural faith isn't proved by how loud you shout. It's proved by how long you stay. Stay in the waiting. Stay in the stretching. Stay when the blessings look delayed and your heart starts to doubt. Stay when it seems like everyone else is moving forward and you're standing still. The supernatural doesn't rush. It roots. It digs deep. It grows slowly beneath the surface in places no one sees. That's where strength is born, in silence, in solitude, in surrender. You thought God had forgotten. But the truth is, he's not late. He's just building you up before he brings you out. Because if he gave it to you now, it would crush you. So he's preparing you layer by layer. Every disappointment, every closed door, every night of uncertainty, it's not punishment, it's preparation. Because what's coming is weighty. Character must be able to carry it. This isn't about quick answers. This is about eternal impact. And God loves you too much to give you shortcuts. He's too wise to be early and too good to be late. He's exactly on time even when it doesn't feel like it. And here's the beauty of supernatural faith. It grows in contradiction. When you believe in healing while your body is still in pain. When you speak increase while your account says decline. When you declare purpose while your life looks like pieces. That's when God smiles. That's when heaven opens. That's when your spirit begins to tap into something deeper than human reasoning. Because this faith, it's not normal. It's not logical. It's not bound by circumstances. This is the kind of faith that raised the dead. The kind that parted seas. The kind that broke prison chains with a song. It doesn't take cues from what it sees. It lives from what it knows. And what do you know? That you are loved, that you are seen, that you are chosen, that the God who started this in you will finish it. Don't you see? Your life is a prophecy. Your pain has a purpose. Your waiting is a weapon. Every moment you thought was wasted, God is redeeming. Every step you took in the dark, God is lighting up behind you. You're building a path not just for yourself, but for those who will come after you. This journey, it's not just about you. Your yes is generational. Your surrender is prophetic. Your faith is creating ripple effects in the spirit that you may never see with your eyes, but eternity will echo with them. So keep walking, keep trusting, even when it's quiet. Especially when it's quiet, because silence is not absence. It's often strategy. God is working behind the curtain, rearranging realities, orchestrating encounters, setting up divine moments that will leave you speechless. And when it happens, when the door opens, when the healing comes, when the chains fall off, you won't be surprised, you'll be ready. Because your faith was forged in fire. Because your trust was tested in tears. Because your praise was relieving. This is what supernatural faith looks like. It doesn't need applause. It doesn't need clarity. It just needs one whisper from God, and that's enough. And right now, if you're listening to this, it's not by accident. You've been handpicked. set apart, marked by heaven for such a time as this. The fire didn't break you, it baptized you. The silence didn't drown you, it purified you. The delay didn't destroy you, it developed you. You are not behind. You are not broken. You are becoming. And what's ahead of you is greater than anything you're leaving behind. You didn't choose the wilderness, but the wilderness chose you. Not because you were weak, but because you were ready to be made strong. The wilderness is not where faith dies, it's where it awakens, where everything unnecessary falls away and what's eternal begins to emerge. This is not a detour. This is divine design. God is not lost in your process. He is the process. Look around. Everything you once leaned on is being stripped. People you depended on have vanished. Opportunities you thought were certain slip through your fingers. But before you panic, listen. The removal is mercy. The silence is strategy. The subtraction is a setup for something supernatural. Faith does not grow in abundance. It grows in absence. It blooms in dry places. And while the world celebrates success, heaven celebrates surrender. The deeper your yes, the greater your capacity. And right now, heaven is expanding your spirit beyond what you can understand. You don't need a blueprint. You need boldness. You don't need clarity. You need courage. Because supernatural faith doesn't wait for guarantees, it moves on the word. Remember Noah? He built without rain. Remember Abraham? He walked without knowing. Remember Mary? She believed before she understood. Faith doesn't need the whole picture, it trusts the one who holds the frame. And you, yet part of that lineage. You've been called to walk in what eyes haven't seen, what ears haven't heard, what minds haven't imagined. But don't expect applause. Don't expect agreement. The road of supernatural faith is often a lonely one. Because what you carry, they won't always understand. The way you believe, they'll call it foolish. The vision in your heart, they'll call it impossible. But heaven has always worked through the unlikely. Through the ones the world rejected, through the voices no one listened to, through the hands no one saw coming. You don't have to defend your calling. You don't have to explain your journey. Just walk. Every step forward is warfare. Every act of obedience is an earthquake in the spirit. You think nothing is changing, but in the unseen, everything is shifting. And let me tell you a secret. Supernatural faith is never alone. Heaven walks with you. Angels guard you. The Spirit whispers when the path gets dim. And when you're too weak to pray, groans go up on your behalf. You are not doing this by yourself. You never were. But you must decide. Will you trust God even when the answer is not yet? Will you keep walking even when the road is uphill and unpaved? Will you carry the dream even when it feels like a burden? Because faith is not about how quickly you arrive. It's about how deeply you believe. It's not about the destination. It's about the revelation that no matter how far you walk, He walks with you. And one day when the curtain lifts and the miracle comes, not only will you rejoice, but you'll understand every delay, every tear, every quiet moment it made you. It formed you. It taught you to believe for real. You asked for supernatural faith. This is the path. Not always easy, not always clear, but always worth it. So take a deep breath, wipe your face, look ahead. The mountain may be tall, but you were born for this climb. Heaven is still writing your story. And the best chapter has yet to unfold. It's time to stop rehearsing the pain and start releasing the promise. You've cried over what didn't work. You've mourned what left. You've questioned why God allowed the silence, the separation, the shut doors, but now heaven is calling you to shift, to lift your eyes, to remember that God doesn't bury things to kill them. He buries them to resurrect them. Supernatural faith doesn't stay in the grave. It believes beyond death, beyond delay, beyond despair. There's a version of you the world hasn't seen yet because it's being born in this very moment of pressure, in the struggle, in the wrestling, in the silence that feels like abandonment but is actually alignment. You are being sculpted into something sacred, something that won't collapse under glory. You keep asking God to change the scene, but He's more focused on changing you. That's the thing about supernatural faith. It never leaves you the same. It breaks you open to build you deeper. It removes false confidence. It strips counterfeit strength. It confronts the idols you didn't even know you had control, certainty, reputation, and lays them all down at the altar. And in that breaking, something beautiful happens. You start hearing Him differently. Not in the thunder, but in the whisper. Not in the miracles, but in the waiting. Not in the answer, but in the ache. Because it's in the ache that you discover who He really is. He's not just the God of the mountaintop. He's the God of the midnight. The God of the long road. The God who sits beside you when no one understands and speaks identity into your cracked soul. And He says, you are still chosen, still anointed, still mine. Even with your questions, even with your tears, even with your shaky faith and fragile hope, He's not intimidated by your doubts. He's not disappointed by your delays. He's developing weight in your spirit, because where He's taking you, shallow roots won't survive. So dig deep, dig past the offense, past the fear, past the comparison. Dig until you hit living water. That place where your strength ends and His begins, where your need collides with His abundance. That's where supernatural faith comes alive in strength, but in surrender. Not in power, but in posture. The kind of posture that says, even if nothing changes, I still trust you. The kind that stands in front of giants with nothing but a stone and the Spirit of God. The kind that dances in the fire and says, even if He doesn't rescue us, we will not bow. That's the kind of faith that turns history. You weren't just born to survive this life. You were born to shift atmospheres, to change generations, to awaken dead places with your obedience. Your yes is heavier than you think. It's breaking chains you can't even see. It's building altars your children will one day worship on. So don't despise this season. Don't run from the discomfort. Don't wish it away. Lean in. Because what's forming in you right now, through the waiting, through the wrestling, through the wondering, is not just faith. It's fire-tested, wilderness-hardened, heaven-anointed, supernatural faith. And when you come out of this, when the smoke clears and the dust settles, you won't even look like what you've been through. You'll be stronger, clearer, wilder in your worship, fiercer in your love, deeper in your walk. Because the fire didn't just refine you, it revealed you. The you that hell tried to silence, the you that trauma tried to hide, the you that doubt tried to suffocate, that version of you is rising. So lift your head, fix your focus. The journey's not over. It's just beginning. It's not just about believing for something anymore. It's about believing through something. Anyone can believe when things are easy. When the doors open without resistance, when the crowd cheers, when the answer comes quickly, that's not supernatural faith. That's comfort dressed in religion. That's hope with a backup plan. But the kind of faith heaven on earth sits forged in the fire of contradiction. It's the kind of faith that stands while everything is falling apart. It says, even if I don't see it, I'll still declare it. It says, even if I'm weeping, I'll still worship. It says, even if I'm walking alone, I know I'm not abandoned. You weren't called to convenient faith. You were called to conquering faith. And sometimes to get to that level, God will strip you down to just Him. He'll remove the crutches, the distractions, the false identities you thought were your strength. Because He wants you to see the truth. He is enough. Enough when the people leave. Enough when the job ends. Enough when the prayers take years to manifest. That's when the shift happens. When your soul stops chasing outcomes and starts anchoring in presence. When the desire for answers is replaced by hunger for Him. That's where supernatural faith is born, not in the results, but in the relationship. Not in arrival, but in abiding. And this kind of abiding doesn't beg, it believes. It doesn't flinch at rejection. It doesn't fold under delay. It grows bolder with every not yet. It worships with bloody knees. It prays with a trembling voice. It stays, even when staying hurts, because it knows He's still good. And that simple truth becomes your weapon. When the enemy tells you it's over, you respond, but He's still good. When the storm says you're drowning, you say, but He's still good. When your past screams, you'll never be free. You whisper through tears, but He's still good. Because goodness is not a mood, it's a nature. And the nature of God never changes. So you can build on it, you can bleed on it, you can trust it when everything else shifts. And once you start believing, like Thathel loses its grip, fear loses its voice, doubt loses its power, because you've discovered the secret. Supernatural faith is not just about power. It's about presence. It's not just about moving mountains. It's about knowing the one who made them. So now, when life shakes, you don't run. You root. You worship deeper. You listen longer. You obey faster. And suddenly, peace that doesn't make sense begins to guard your heart. Not because the situation changed, but because you did. You're not reacting. You're reigning. You're not panicking. You're prophesying. You're not surviving. You're shifting atmospheres. Because that's what supernatural faith does. It causes dry bones to live. It turns graves into gardens. It sees oil where others only see emptiness. It calls things that are not as though they were and refuses to stop until heaven responds. And let me tell you something. Heaven will respond. Not because you earned it, but because you aligned with it, because you refused to bow to fear, because you dared to keep believing when everything said quit. That's the kind of faith that splits seas. So if you're tired, don't give up. You're not empty, you're expanding. The ache is not a threat, it's a sign that something sacred is about to be born through you. And when it comes, when the breakthrough finally crashes in like a wave, you won't be surprised. You'll be ready because your spirit has been in labor and now it's time to push. You didn't survive all that to play small now. There's something in you the enemy couldn't kill. You've walked through fire, but it didn't burn you. You've walked through floods, but they didn't drown you. Not because you were lucky, but because you were called. You carry a promise that outlived the pain, a whisper that didn't get silenced by the storm, a dream that refused to die. That's not just resilience, that's divine resilience. Supernatural faith doesn't just keep going, it keeps becoming. And what you're becoming, it's bigger than your resume, louder than your mistakes, stronger than your past. The old version of you wouldn't have made it through this. But that version had to die. Because what God is doing now requires a resurrection. So don't reach for what was. Don't return to what's familiar. Don't shrink back into safety just because the wilderness got lonely. You're not being punished, you're being positioned. Positioned for miracles, positioned for visibility, positioned for impact. Not so your name can be praised, but so His glory can be revealed. You see, there are people waiting on the other side of your obedience. Souls whose freedom is tied to your yes. Chains that will break the moment you rise. Rooms that will shift when your voice is released. This isn't about spotlight. It's about assignment. God didn't call you to blend in. He called you to burn bright. But fire costs something. And supernatural faith will always demand a higher price. You can't carry glory and still crave comfort. You can't walk in power and still need approval. You can't shift nations and stay addicted to normal. You have to let go. Let go of needing everyone to understand you. Let go of timelines that make you anxious. Let go of battles that aren't yours. Let go of battles that aren't yours. Let go of pretending you're okay when your soul is starving for presence. The supernatural isn't neat. It's messy. It's raw. It's convenient, but it's holy. And once you've tasted it, nothing else satisfies. So yes, the process is long. The nights feel endless. The warfare is real. But so is the oil that's being produced. Oil that only comes from crushing. Anointing that only comes from obedience. You can't fake this. You can't manufacture this. This kind of faith can't be bought in a book or downloaded in a sermon. It's lived, it's walked, it's wept through. It's birthed in the midnight hour when no one sees but heaven. And heaven sees everything. Every time you kept trusting, every time you didn't retaliate, every time you got back up, every time you believed when you had no reason to, those were not wasted moments. Those were defining moments. And now it's shifting. Something is turning in your favor. You may not feel it, you may not see it, but heaven has already released it. The atmosphere is responding to your endurance. The Spirit is aligning what your faith refused to let go of. So keep your posture, keep your praise, keep your ears open, because the trumpet is about to sound, the tables are about to turn. The doors are about to open not because you forced them, but because you followed. And when it happens, remember this moment, the moment before the manifestation, the silence before the shaking, the stillness before the breakthrough. Because this right here is the part most people skip. But you stayed. You kept going. You chose faith over feelings. And that choice, it changed everything. You thought the end was near, but it was only the beginning. What you've walked through, the heartaches, the failures, the betrayals, wasn't just a random sequence of events. It was a divine preparation. God knew exactly what he was doing. And now, as you stand in the shadow of what once felt like defeat, you realize it wasn't defeat at all. It was the making of a champion. And champions don't stop when the storm comes. Champions rise in the storm. They don't bow to the wind. They bend to the will of God. They don't let the rain drown their dream. They let the rain refine their roots. Supernatural faith is not about how loud you can shout when the victory is near. It's about how deep you can stand when everything around you is shaking. It's about believing even when the promise seems impossible. Trusting even when the evidence contradicts the word. You see, it's not the absence of fear that marks you, it's the presence of faith in spite of it. Fear will always show up, but your faith will drown it out. The truth is, every struggle you've faced has been an invitation to trust in a deeper way, an invitation to know him as the God who provides, as the God who heals, as the God who sustains when everything else falls apart. You didn't know it then, but every tear, every sleepless night, every lonely moment was an altar and offering to the one who knows what you need before you ask. He was building something eternal in you, something that will stand long after the storm passes. So now, as you look ahead, understand this. What's next is greater than what you've left behind. What's ahead is more than you ever dreamed of, more than you ever imagined. The promises you've carried in your heart for so long are about to break through. And it won't be a quiet breakthrough. It will be a powerful one. The kind that shakes your foundations, that shifts entire seasons, that flips your world upside down. But before the breakthrough, there's the process. There's the refining. There's the waiting, the walking through the wilderness, the hours in the quiet when you wonder if anyone sees your sacrifice. And I promise you this, heaven sees, God sees, and He is working. The waiting is not wasted. The struggle is not pointless. Every moment that you felt forgotten, every time you thought your faith had failed you, it wasn't failure. It was faithfulness. Faithfulness to your calling. Faithfulness to your purpose. Faithfulness to the one who never once turned his back on you. Do you hear that? He never left. Even in your darkest hour, He was there. Even when you felt abandoned, He was holding you in His arms, carrying you through, knowing the storm would pass and you would rise. And now, the rising is happening because your faith, supernatural faith, has been activated. It's been tested. It's been purified. And now it's ready. Ready to speak to mountains, ready to see the impossible unfold, ready to take hold of what has always been yours. And when it comes, when the floodgates open, you'll realize this wasn't just about you. This was about what God wanted to do through you. This wasn't just about your victory. It was about His glory. Your story will become a testimony. Your scars will become a symbol of strength, power. Because when you come out of this season, you won't just have a testimony of survival, you'll have a testimony of supernatural faith. Faith that sees beyond what is. Faith that speaks into what will be. Faith that reaches beyond time and touches eternity. This is the kind of faith that moves mountains, changes lives, and alters the course of history. And the best part? It's just getting started. So, lift your head. Stand tall. The battle has been long, but the victory is sweeter than you can imagine. You are not just surviving, you are thriving. You are not just overcoming, you are ascending. And the world is about to see what you were always meant to be. You thought your story was over, but God was just getting started. Every moment that felt like a dead end was only the prelude to a resurrection. You didn't know it then, but your pain was paving the way for your purpose. Your setbacks were shaping your comeback. The silence wasn't abandonment. It was preparation. God wasn't just waiting on you. He was waiting for the perfect moment to reveal His glory. And that moment, it's now. There's a shift happening in your life, a divine acceleration. What once took years will now take months. What once seemed impossible is now within reach. Your breakthrough isn't on the horizon, it's at your doorstep. But you have to believe it. You have to dare to step out in faith, even when the circumstances scream, not yet. You have to trust when everything inside you says, it's too late. You have to walk forward when the world tells you to stand still. Because supernatural faith doesn't wait for the perfect moment, it creates the perfect moment. This is your season of alignment. God is aligning your steps with His plans, your vision with His purpose. The things that once seemed out of place, relationships, opportunities, experiences, they were all part of the divine tapestry being woven in your life. And now they're coming together. What seemed like a scattered puzzle is now forming a masterpiece. But this alignment comes with a responsibility. It requires you to walk in the fullness of who God created you to be. No more hiding, no more shrinking, no more second guessing yourself. This is your time to rise and walk in the authority that's been granted to you. You're not just meant to survive this world, you're meant to transform it. You're not just meant to go through the motions, you're meant to make waves. You weren't placed on this earth to follow the crowd. You were born to lead, to break barriers, to change paradigms. The faith you carry isn't just for your own breakthrough, it's for the generation waiting on the other side of your obedience. And while the journey may not always look like what you expected, rest assured every twist, every turn, every detour was divinely orchestrated. The setbacks weren't punishment, they were preparation. The delays weren't denial, they were development. You were being refined, strengthened, and positioned for something greater. So don't despise the process. Don't resent the pruning, because everything you've gone through is creating the soil for your next season. You are being prepared to carry a weight of glory that will not only change your life, but the lives of those around you. And here's the truth. Your breakthrough is not just about you. It's about what God wants to do through you. It's about the people you'll touch, the lives you'll impact, the legacy you'll leave behind. Your faith is not just for your own victory. It's for the victory of those who will follow in your footsteps. The road to greatness is never easy. But with every step, you're becoming who you were always meant to be. You're becoming stronger, wiser, bolder. The person you've always dreamed of being, the one who rises above the circumstances, who walks in authority, who carries peace, even in the storm. That person is coming alive in you. And when you step into the fullness of that, nothing will be able to stop you. Not fear, not doubt, not opposition, because you will be walking in the power of supernatural faith, a faith that sees beyond what is and steps into what could be. So keep moving forward, keep trusting, keep believing, because the best is yet to come. You've walked through the fire, and now you're ready to wear the crown. What you've been through was never meant to break you. It was meant to build you. You've been in the furnace of refinement, and now the impurities have been burned away. What remains is pure gold. You are stronger than you know. Your spirit has been tempered like steel, your mind renewed like fire. What you've endured has not been wasted. It's been the very thing that's equipped you for what's coming. You are not the same person you were when you started this journey. You have grown. You have stretched. You have expanded in ways you never imagined. And now, as the clouds begin to part, you're beginning to see the light that's been shining over you all along the light of divine favor, of purpose, of destiny. It was always there, even in the darkness, even when you couldn't see it. The light was leading you. The light was protecting you. The light was guiding you to this very moment. But there's more. This isn't just about your personal victory. This is about the victory of those around you. You're not just rising for yourself, you're rising for those who are watching you. Your faith, your perseverance, your story, they are the keys that will unlock the doors for others. God is raising you up not just to be a conqueror, but to show others how to conquer. He's not only empowering you to break through, he's empowering you to teach others how to break through. Your testimony isn't just for you. It's for the generations that will come after you. The people you haven't met yet, whose lives will be forever changed because you chose to stand firm in the fire. And right now, the fire is still burning, but it's no longer consuming you. It's refining you. Every challenge you face now will only sharpen your resolve. Every obstacle will only increase your capacity to handle the weight of glory that's coming your way. Your purpose is unfolding before your eyes. You've been prepared for this moment. You were born for this. And though the journey has been long, though it's tested your limits, you're stepping into a new season, now a season, where supernatural faith becomes your lifestyle, where miracles become your expectation, where impossibilities bow to your obedience. You've already endured the hardest part. Now you're walking into the favor of God that will cause things to align supernaturally in your life. People will begin to notice. Opportunities will start showing up in unexpected places. Favor will chase you down. And doors that once seemed locked will open without hesitation. This is the season of divine acceleration. What once took years will take days. What once took months will now take weeks. Your dreams are no longer delayed. They are activated. Your purpose is no longer distant. It is right in front of you. And here's the thing, you've been chosen for this. It wasn't by accident. It wasn't by chance. You were handpicked by heaven to walk in this kind of faith, to carry this kind of glory, to break through this kind of barrier. No weapon formed against you shall prosper. No voice of doubt can drown out your calling, because you are walking in the strength of a supernatural faith that overcomes, that conquers, that rises above the natural. You will see things you never thought possible. You will experience breakthroughs in areas that have long been stagnant. You will watch as the dreams you once held in your heart become your reality. But you've got to keep your eyes on the prize. Don't let distractions pull you off course. Don't let fear whisper lies. Your victory is sealed, but your faith is what activates it. And every time you declare God's goodness over your life, every time you speak His promises into the atmosphere, you are giving life to your miracle. It's happening now. Your breakthrough is in motion. Your restoration is here. And your faith will carry you to places you've only dreamed of. You're not just surviving, you are thriving. And this is only the beginning. You are standing on the edge of your divine destiny. And the ground beneath you is no longer shaky, it's solid. The foundation has been laid not by your own strength, but by the hand of God. And as you stand in this place, it's time to move forward with a new kind of confidence, a supernatural confidence, rooted not in what you can do, but in what He has already done. This is not the same world you walked into when you first began. You have been transformed. Your heart has been stretched. Your mind has been renewed. And your spirit is now unshakable. It's been through the fire, and now it's more refined, more powerful, more rooted than ever before. You see, faith doesn't just move mountains, it moves you. It moves your heart to align with God's will, your spirit to align with His purpose, your feet to walk in His ways. And now you are aligned in every area. Your mind, your soul, and your body are moving in harmony with the divine plan. There's no more resistance. There's no more confusion. There's only clarity. There's only vision. And with that clarity comes power. The power to speak to the storm and watch it obey. The power to look at the mountains in your life and say, be removed and cast into the sea. The power to declare the promises of God over your life and see them come to pass. You are not just a believer, you are a warrior of faith, standing firm in the promises of God, walking in the authority He has given you. But understand this is not about having all the answers. It's not about having a perfect plan or a perfect path. It's about walking in obedience, no matter the obstacles, no matter the doubts. It's about trusting in the one who holds the future. It's about stepping out into the unknown, knowing that He is with you every step of the way. You will face challenges. You will face moments where your faith will be tested. But know this, your faith is not fragile. It is strong. It has been built through the trials you faced. It has been tested in the fire and purified by the word, and now it is unstoppable. Your faith is not based on what you see. It's based on what you believe. It's based on the truth of God's word, which never fails. It's based on the reality that God is who He says He is and will do what He says He will do. And when you stand firm in that truth, nothing can shake you. The enemy will try to distract you. He will try to convince you that you're not enough, that the promises will never come to pass, but don't listen. The enemy knows the power of your faith, and he's terrified of it. He's terrified because when you stand in the authority of God's word, you're unstoppable. You become a force to be reckoned with. So when the doubt comes, and it will come, stand firm. When the fear rises, stand, it will rise, stand firm. When the world tells you to give up, stand firm. Because you are more than a conqueror. You are a child of the Most High God, and his promises are yes and amen. And here's the truth. Every trial, every challenge, every obstacle you faced has been a setup for what's coming next. God has been preparing you for a life of supernatural abundance. He's been positioning you to walk in the fullness of his blessings. And now it's time to step into that promise. Your destiny is waiting for you. The doors that were once closed are opening. The opportunities that seemed impossible are now within reach. The dreams that once felt out of your grasp are now being handed to you on a silver platter. But none of this would be possible without the supernatural faith you've cultivated along the way. This is the moment, this is the time for you to rise up and take what God has promised you. This is the moment when everything you've been through, the pain, the struggle, the heartache all begins to make sense. It was all part of his plan to bring you to this very point. And now as you stand in his grace, you are ready. Ready to claim your victory, ready to walk in your calling, ready to move forward in the power of supernatural faith. And as you step into the future that God has prepared for you, know this. He will never leave you. He will never forsake you. He will always be with you. And he will always lead you to the fulfillment of your purpose. You are on the edge of something amazing, and your faith is the key that will unlock it. The journey has been long, and at times you've wondered if it was all worth it. The questions, the doubts, the fears, they've all tried to cloud your vision. But now, as you stand here, you realize something profound. Everything you've walked through, every trial, every challenge, every moment of pain has been leading you to this one undeniable truth. You are never alone. God's presence was with you in the darkest valleys. His hand was guiding you through every storm. His voice was whispering to you in the silence. You didn't always see it, but he was there. And now you can look back and see his fingerprints all over your story, shaping you, molding you, making you into someone who is more than capable of carrying the weight of his glory. And now, as you stand on the threshold of your destiny, you realize something even greater. You are ready. You're ready for the promises that have been waiting for you. You're ready for the doors that are about to open. You're ready for the dreams that are about to become a reality. You're ready for the supernatural breakthroughs that will shift everything in your life. This is not just another season. This is the season of divine fulfillment. What God has spoken over your life will come to pass. The prophecies you've held on to, the promises you've prayed for, the visions you've seen, they are now becoming your reality. The years of waiting, the moments of wondering, the times of doubt, they were not wasted. They were part of the process. And in this moment, all of it culminates in a single powerful truth. You were called for such a time as this. You were born to break barriers. You were destined to overcome. You were designed to carry a faith that speaks to the impossible, that moves mountains, that changes lives. Your life is a testimony of what supernatural faith can accomplish when it is fully surrendered to God. And as you stand in the fullness of what he has promised, know that this is only the beginning. The road ahead is filled with even greater wonders, even greater triumphs, even greater manifestations of God's power. You will see things you've only dreamed of. You will experience breakthroughs that surpass your understanding. You will walk in a victory that is more than just your sit is for your family, your community, your generation. You've seen what God can do in the waiting, but now you're about to see what he can do in the doing. The moment you step into your calling, you'll see his hand move like never before. You'll see the supernatural begin to unfold in every area of your life. The dreams that have seemed impossible will suddenly come into focus. And when they do, you'll realize this was always part of his plan. You are a living testimony of what it means to develop supernatural faith. A faith that holds on when everything seems impossible. A faith that believes when all the evidence says no. A faith that trusts God, not because of what you see, but because of what he has said. And now you stand at the edge of something new, something greater, something that has always been yours, but it took faith to bring it to the surface. So take a moment, breathe it in. The weight of his presence, the warmth of his embrace, the beauty of his promises, and then step forward. Step forward into the abundant life he has prepared for you. Step forward into the future he's already written. Step forward knowing that no matter what comes next, you are equipped with the most powerful force on earth, supernatural faith. This is your time. This is your moment. You are ready.